If you're ambitious but lazy, this video is for you. Before we get started, check out the link in the description to download our ebook. You know the feeling. You have dreams, real ones. It's the kind that keep you awake at night, that make your chest tight with possibility. You see yourself doing something meaningful, creating something beautiful, becoming someone you're proud of. But then morning comes, and you do nothing. You scroll, you plan, you watch other people live the life you want. And at the end of the day, you feel that familiar weight. Guilt, shame, the quiet certainty that you're wasting your life. Here's what everyone tells you. You're lazy. You lack discipline. You need to try harder, wake up earlier, push through the resistance. But what if that's not true? What if the problem isn't that you're lazy at all? What if you're not lacking something, but rather running from something? Today I want to offer you a different story, one that might hurt a little more at first, but will set you free in the end. You're not lazy. You're scared. Let me paint a picture you might recognize. It's Sunday evening. You tell yourself that tomorrow will be different. Tomorrow, you'll start that project. You'll write the first page. You'll send that email. You'll take the first step toward the life you actually want. You even feel excited about it. You make a plan. You set an alarm. Imagine how good it will feel to finally be in motion. But when tomorrow comes, something shifts. The clarity you had the night before dissolves into fog. The thing that seems so possible now feels impossible. And instead of starting, you find yourself doing anything else. You clean your room. You organize your desk. You research the perfect way to do the thing instead of just doing the thing. And by the time the day ends, you haven't moved an inch. And here's the worst part. You know better. You're not stupid. You understand that action leads to results. Yes. You've read the books, watched the videos, listened to the podcasts. You know what you're supposed to do, but knowing doesn't help, because this isn't about knowledge. This is the paradox of ambitious laziness. You want greatness, but you choose comfort. You dream big, but you act small. You have the map, but you won't start the journey. And the question that haunts you, the one you ask yourself in those quiet moments when you can't hide from the truth, is simply this. Why? Why can't I just do it? What's wrong with me? Here's what I've learned, both from my own life and from years of studying philosophy and psychology. Laziness, as we typically understand it, doesn't really exist. What we call laziness is almost always something else in disguise. Sometimes it's exhaustion. Your body and mind are depleted, and rest isn't laziness, it's survival. Sometimes it's depression. Chemical imbalance that makes even simple tasks feel like climbing mountains. But most often, especially for ambitious people, what we call laziness is fear. Think about it. When you avoid starting that project, what are you really avoiding? The work itself. Now, you've done hard work before. You're capable of effort. What you're avoiding is the possibility of failure. The chance that you'll try your best and it won't be good enough. The risk that people will see your work and judge it, or worse, ignore it completely. You're avoiding the confrontation with your own limitations, because right now in your imagination, you're limitless. Your potential is perfect because it's never been tested. But the moment you try, the moment you create something real, you have to face the gap between who you are and who you want to be. The existentialist philosopher Soren Kierkegaard wrote about anxiety as the dizziness of freedom. We're terrified not by our limitations, but by our possibilities. The blank page is frightening not because we can't fill it, but because we can fill it with anything, and that means we're responsible for what we choose. And Jean-Paul Sartre took this further. He said we're condemned to be free. Every moment we're making a choice, even when we choose to do nothing. And that weight of total responsibility is almost unbearable. So we protect ourselves. We procrastinate. We distract ourselves. We tell ourselves we're lazy, because lazy feels better than afraid. Lazy is just a bad habit. Afraid means something deeper is wrong. But here's the truth that changes everything. Your ambition and your fear come from the same place. You're afraid precisely because you care. You're paralyzed precisely because it matters. Someone who truly didn't care wouldn't feel this internal war. They'd be content with mediocrity. But you're not. You want more. And that want is what creates the fear. The Stoics understood this. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Your fear isn't separate from your path forward. It is your path forward. Because on the other side of that fear is everything you want. So what do we do with this understanding? First, we stop using laziness as a weapon against ourselves. We stop the shame spiral. Because shame doesn't motivate, it paralyzes. And you've been paralyzed long enough. Instead, we start asking different questions. Not why am I so lazy, but what am I afraid of? Not what's wrong with me, but what is this feeling trying to protect me from? When you feel that familiar resistance, that gravitational pull toward distraction and comfort, pause. Don't judge it, just notice it, sit with it for a moment, and ask, what would happen if I took one step forward right now? It's the worst case scenario I'm imagining. Sometimes you'll find it's absurd. You're afraid of something that isn't even real, or something that wouldn't actually be that bad if it happened. But sometimes you'll find a real fear, a legitimate one. Maybe you're afraid of disappointing someone you love. Maybe you're afraid of discovering you're not as talented as you hoped. Maybe you're afraid of success itself, of what you'd have to sacrifice to maintain it. And here's the compassionate truth. Those fears make sense. They're not signs of weakness. They're signs that you're human, that you're attempting something that matters. The shift happens when you stop seeing fear as a stop sign and start seeing it as a sign that you're at the edge of your comfort zone. That's not where you retreat from. That's where growth lives. Think of it like this. Fear is a shadow that only disappears when we walk toward the light. The more you run from it, the longer it grows. The moment you turn around and face it, you realize it was never as solid as it seemed. Your fear isn't your enemy. It's a messenger. And the message is simple. This matters to you. You care about this. You're about to do something real. So what's the next smallest step? Not the perfect step, not the big step, just the next one. If you want to write a book, write one sentence. If you want to start a business, send one email. If you want to get in shape, do one push-up. Not because that one small action will change your life, but because it will prove to your nervous system that you can move through fear. And once you know that, everything changes. Let me bring this home. You're not lazy. You never were. You're someone who wants something beautiful and meaningful, and that want has made you vulnerable. It's opened you up to the possibility of failure, of judgment, of disappointment. And your mind, trying to protect you, has created elaborate ways to keep you safe in the familiar discomfort of inaction. But safety isn't the same as living, and you already know this. That's why you clicked on this video. That's why you feel that restlessness, that dissatisfaction. Some part of you knows that the pain of staying still is starting to outweigh the fear of moving forward. So here's what I want you to do. Today, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, not when the conditions are perfect. Today, choose one thing. One small thing you've been avoiding. And do it imperfectly. Do it scared. Do it badly even. Because the goal isn't perfection. The goal is breaking the spell of inaction. The goal is proving to yourself that you can feel fear and move anyway. And when you do, pay attention to what happens. Notice that the fear was worse in anticipation than in reality. Notice that you survived. Notice that tiny spark of aliveness that comes from choosing courage over comfort. Then do it again tomorrow and the day after that. Not because you have to become someone else, but because you're finally becoming yourself. The person you are when you stop hiding. The person you are when you stop letting fear make your decisions. The person you are when you honor your ambition, not with pressure, but with patient, consistent action. You have one life. It's this one, right now. And it's not going to wait until you feel ready. It's not going to pause until your fear goes away. But here's the beautiful part. You don't need the fear to go away. You just need to be willing to walk with it. So take the step. Send the message. Write the sentence. Make the call. Be ambitious. Be afraid. Be both. And move anyway. Because you're not lazy. You never were. You're just someone who's been waiting for permission to try. Consider this your permission. Now go.